Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a great day. At the moment, Ledger is currently having a 20% off sale on their Ledger Nano S Plus, their Ledger Nano X, and their Ledger Nano Ruby Duo, also with 20% off. While I do not work for Ledger, I am an affiliate, and I do have an affiliate link in the description below for those of you who are looking to save some money and secure your cryptocurrencies. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. You should basically all know exactly what time it is. A mysterious Bitcoin whale has surfaced. What? That's so shocking. Amassing a staggering 12,071 Bitcoin, equivalent to around 531 million US dollars. The wallet's activity, which was closely monitored by Arkham Intelligence, revealed that the wallet has only been around for 30 days. That means in the last 30 days, 30 days, this one wallet has accumulated 12,000 Bitcoin at $500 million. The wallet was created on the 1st of November and has been consistently receiving Bitcoin from various addresses daily. Notably, the first sender traced back to a wallet associated with the renowned BitMEX exchange, igniting curiosity within the cryptocurrency community. It doesn't always need to, and I'll put it to you this way. So we have known that whales have been in the market for a very long time. Like, that's not like, oh my gosh, what? There's a whale in the room kind of revelation thing. But what ends up happening across multiple cryptocurrencies, this is not only a Bitcoin thing. If we find out that someone, a whale or other large aquatic animal, has been scooping up a lot of cryptocurrencies, there's like a lot of speculation as to who or what or how it could be. It's just rich people. It doesn't always have to be like one specific institution. It doesn't have to be like one, like there are a lot of very wealthy people on the planet. There are a lot of companies who deal specifically with like family funds, and there might just have been a time where this wallet was activated and they're like, okay, we should start buying right now. Like, imagine you make a decision like right now, you're like, I'm going to start doing something tomorrow. That also happens for people with money. People may have been sitting on the sidelines looking at the cryptocurrency space going, I kind of want to get into it. They see that prices are rising and they go, okay, call up Peter, tell him tomorrow. And then Peter starts buying automatically. You know, that's how a lot of things go. But in the crypto space, the speculation runs so deep, a lot deeper than it actually has to. And people are assuming it's BlackRock or Fidelity. And they're like, no, they've been in the cryptocurrency space for a very long time. Their first foray into crypto wasn't like, should we try and get a Bitcoin ETF on Wednesday? No, like there were years of preparation before all of that stuff. It's just more of a, I find it fascinating how many people continue to be surprised by rich people and by whales and that they're like doing certain things. If you ever get a chance to watch like documentaries about real estate and like how like wealthy people procure their investments, like it's basically things like this. It's like one big move all at once to secure your position in the market. It's not like a little drip every now, once and again. So yeah, once again, another whale has surfaced. It could just also be another company who's making sure to like put their cryptocurrencies into like another wallet as opposed to having all of it in one wallet at the exact same time. Though I personally would never have $500 million of anything sitting inside of one wallet. But we've been getting whale news for the last 2 years now. For those of you who missed all the other videos over the last like month or two, like the ramping up of buying is clearly the reason why the market has gone up. There's like a slight percentage of retail, everyday normal people, investors who are of course also buying, but the bulk of the Bitcoin buying is happening from institutions. It's in anticipation of an ETF or ETFs actually being pushed through. Like, this is something that's gigantic, and the expectation is that if an ETF ends up going through, institutions are going to flood the space instantaneously with literally trillions of dollars, and you want to make sure that if it looks like the getting's good, it looks like there's definitely going to be an ETF, you make sure to buy like beforehand, before it actually ends up happening. And this is why we see this uptick since all the ETFs were listed on that, what was the name of that website? It was like DTCC, DTT, TVT. It had like 4 different letters inside of it. Anyway, cool. Unsurprising, just making sure that you are kept up to date with the whale movements, because they've been buying for a while, but now the buying is far more obvious because there's not as much as there was before on the market. It continues to get thinner and thinner, the amount that's actually out there. We're going to hear in 2.5, 3.5 weeks that MicroStrategy bought even more Bitcoin, and everyone's going to act really surprised once again that it took place. It's happening across all the coins. It just happens that Bitcoin is the number one coin, and usually we'll get news that a whale bought maybe like $25 million of XRP or 114 million of Ethereum. We don't typically or ever get that one wallet purchased or has $531 million just of a coin, and it's usually always Bitcoin. That's the whale wallet news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in the news is Korea Exchange, literally KRX, South Korea's only stock exchange, has applied for a financial regulatory sandbox to provide financial services for the token securities trading market. For those of you who don't know, the idea, and I'll breeze over this quickly. The idea is that everything in the future will be able to be digitized or put on a blockchain or have their value kind of based there. So that if you're trying to trade it or swap it or move it around or sell it, whatever the case might be, it can happen nearly instantaneously without having to go through an actual clearinghouse or having to do all these other kind of things. It's more so that it's simply on chain. You want it, you got it, you get it, cool, bam, everyone goes their own separate way. We're seeing the digitization of assets happening at a far quicker pace. And a lot of times it does get lightly misconstrued that news like this has to explicitly do with the cryptocurrency space. It's usually like an 80-20 kind of thing where we are the 20% there. The idea being is that if everything can and will be digitized at some point in the future, you want to make sure that you kind of get it done now as the first exchange where people kind of trust. And the security discussion is mainly only a thing within the United States. So a lot of other countries that have legalized cryptocurrencies or allow them, they're all actually based as commodities. And there's no discussion as to if this coin is a security or not. The discussion in other countries simply goes, it's not allowed in the country, like period. So this is why you'll hear sometimes that there are some certain countries who only have like 13 coins listed or only 5 coins are allowed within their borders. So this has to do with a little bit of both. It has to do with them trying to tokenize things and put them on a chain. And also the idea that if there was a security item that was dealing with something within the cryptocurrency space, it would also be on this chain as well. I hope I explained it well, probably not. It says the market is expected to open in the first half of next year. KRX's application to the Financial Services Commission, or the FSC, for an innovative financial service has sparked anticipation for the launch of a tokenized security offering on STO market. The FSC had previously approved a pilot scheme to open a market for investment contract securities and non-monetary trust income securities as well. Currently, token securities are not legally allowed to be traded on the over-the-counter market, which is just absolute nonsense, but sure, why not? KRX's plan to complete preparations to open the token security distribution market after receiving final approval from the FSC. The exchange aims to hold a briefing session early next year for businesses looking to issue token securities or trade on the over-the-counter market. This was relatively popular. The idea, once again, being is that years ago, South Korea was a very big player in the cryptocurrency market. They and Japan had a huge stronghold on the amount of volume that was pumping through the market. It was mainly from those two countries. And the fact that now they're trying to get their stock exchange to also have like STOs and also like tokenized securities, like it's something, but it's not like the brightest news in the entire world. I've noticed as well, a lot of news gets mixed up, and I'm not sure if it's just because, and I mean this in the nicest way, if there are like a lot of new people in the space or a lot of people who are writing these articles actually don't understand the difference between blockchain, central bank digital currencies, and cryptocurrencies. In that, I see a lot of articles who will discuss that China is doing something with their central bank digital currency, but in the article it reads like, this is great for crypto because if they allow this there, then they're totally going to allow Bitcoin next year. And it's like, that's not how this works. Or there will be information about a government body who is deciding to use blockchain or their own blockchain that they made for internal information to be shared amongst people within the company in an easy manner so that things are always taken account of. So they always know, well, Mary wrote this on the 4th of January at 2:15, like kind of thing, so that there's a record for everything. But these articles will also have, well, clearly this company is getting into blockchain and this is great for Bitcoin. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, do you not understand like the basics of anything that's happening? So a lot of times the news is kind of all over the place, but it is what it is. That's the South Korea's only stock exchange is looking to tokenize securities news. And yeah, let's move on. Also in popular news, Binance has announced that they are going to be launching zero-fee trading for 6 coins against their new stablecoin called FDUSD. I can't find, at least in this article, what FDUSD means. I know the FD, I believe, is the name of the other company who they've partnered with. For those of you who missed it, Binance and Paxos earlier this year were told to stop minting the Binance US dollar, which makes it even more obvious that this was all planned against Binance from the beginning, as they are the only crypto exchange and only company who's been told to stop their minting of their stablecoin even before the entire fiasco that's currently going on. So they have a brand new stablecoin called FDUSD, and it's going to have a zero-fee trading pairs against Ethereum, XRP, Binance Coin, Solana, Dogecoin, and Chainlink. So cool. If you're trading quite often and you use stable coins, as I learned a little while ago that a lot of people hold the stable coins and love stable coins and use them quite often. So Binance now has zero-fee trading for all of that stuff as well. I assume it's a way to get people to use the new coin more than they actually would, simply because Tether has basically taken over the entirety of the space. We had news earlier this year that Coinbase was desperately trying to get everyone to use their Circle coin. It's never been that popular. It's usually always been the Binance US dollar and Tether. And Circle's coin is there. Yes, I know. I heard someone say it. I get it. I got it. I know it's popular. But Binance Coin was, moving up in the ranks. And I think between the DOJ, the SEC, the CFTC, and a whole bunch of other people, they were really just trying to do everything they could to destroy Binance. But nope, it's still there ticking. They're still moving along in every other country that's out there, because that's how normal regulation should work. That's the Binance has new zero-fee trading pairs for 6 different coins against the FDUSC. I see nowhere in the article why it's called FD, and I think they just assume that we should know what it is. Anyway, that's the Binance news. Is this also it? Yep. Yep. This is it right there. Yep. That's also it. Okie dokie. Let's move on. In what I'm going to call "That's Not How That Works" news. So if you remember, I'll give you a little history lesson. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, NFTs kind of basically took the world by storm. The thing that people didn't like about the storm was how high the transaction fees actually ended up going up on Ethereum. They went from like 50 cents to $1 to like $12. And I think at the peak, they got to around like $1,200. That was the news that we heard when the ApeCoin project was launching their metaverse, like their fractions of their metaverse, like the land. And there were people who were literally paying thousands of dollars per transaction to try and get their transaction through to be able to let it go through and work. And that's when Polygon kind of popped up on the scene and was like, hey, we can do everything that you've been trying to do, but better and with low transaction fees. Since then, a lot of people have assumed that NFTs have died out or have disappeared. And I've told you many times before that they simply have not. They exist, and rich people are buying them up, similar to cryptocurrencies. And in a year or two, people are going to be so shocked that they didn't buy NFTs. But that's another topic in and of itself. The interesting part is that at the beginning of this year, someone announced that Bitcoin was also going to have NFTs. But they announced them that they were going to be called ordinals because why not? You got to have a new fancy sounding name because sure, why not? It's Bitcoin. And that these inscriptions, as apparently they're, imagine, as I always do, they're inscribed onto a Satoshi. So the smallest portion of a Bitcoin, there's 100 million Satoshis in one Bitcoin. So you take a Satoshi, I always imagine it as like a grain of rice, and you etch something into it, you write it into it, you inscribe it into it, and therefore that becomes the NFT. It can be photos, it can be videos. Some people have put like literature and poems and other things on them as well, what have you. The idea of Bitcoin, in essence, is one of purity, and I'll explain. It has to do with the idea of that Bitcoin will always be Bitcoin is a Bitcoin. Bitcoin, and the differentiator between them, people usually call it Bitcoin Core. This was something that started years ago by people who created their own garbage chains, such as Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, and Bitcoin Cash Satoshi's Vision. In order to try and differentiate, they started calling the number one coin Bitcoin Core, so that people would get confused. That was a very big thing years ago. You might remember where the website that promotes Bitcoin Cash, they had it at the bottom. You were able to buy the number one coin. You were also able to buy Bitcoin Cash, and I think maybe one or two other coins. But they changed the name of the number one coin from Bitcoin to Bitcoin Core, and it confused people. And they changed the name of Bitcoin Cash to Bitcoin so that people were going on there. They were buying Bitcoin Cash, but it was named Bitcoin. And then when they tried to get it transferred to their wallets, guess what? It wasn't the correct coin. Dragging it on back, the idea is that this is also why they claim why we have other chains, because people have desperately tried to make it into the news by changing Bitcoin, altering Bitcoin in their own image. And when I say purity, the idea is that to not go against the wishes of Satoshi Nakamoto. There are people like when you talk about a Bitcoin maximalist, it's not that they believe that Bitcoin should or could or would be the only coin. They believe like a pure maximalist is like, we got this code from Satoshi. He said he wanted X, Y, and Z on the protocol, and that's basically all that there's going to be. You may have other upgrades or other tweaks that may fix a vulnerability, that may allow for this thing to happen, but the idea of smart contracts on Bitcoin, the idea of NFTs on Bitcoin, the idea of ICOs, STOs, you literally name it, are not supposed to be a thing to the purest of Bitcoin maximalists. Bitcoin is meant to be a form of sending money around the world, also a form of digital gold. And should you want to do anything else on the network, you need to create a brand new layer that goes on top of Bitcoin. So when the transactions finalize from the second layer, it counts as one transaction on the Bitcoin blockchain, as opposed to tens of thousands actually crowding up the entire network. I needed to give you all of that clarification before we jump into it, because this is major news, and I'm not exactly sure how they're going to make this happen. Like, I mentally can't understand how this is actually going to work. The beginning of this year, Bitcoin NFTs took off. Super popular. Everyone was talking about them. They were all over the place. But the problem is that by February or March, the amount of transactions were actually overloading the blockchain. So we know that Bitcoin is slow at 3 transactions per second, but it still makes do. This is why we've seen a lot of the other transactions or people or Binance or Coinbase all talking about they're integrating the Lightning Network. It's so that the other normal transactions, the high speed ones that need to move really quick, I'm moving my arms quickly, you can't even see it, that these will run on Lightning. But the idea is that if people need to move large amounts of money securely, they would use the main chain so that you know that it's going to get there, it's immutable, etc., etc. The problem is that if you have, remember we had news maybe 2 months ago that I think in one day, I believe it was one day, there were 600,000 new NFTs that were created on Bitcoin. And if you remember the end of my other videos when I used to show the actual like little South Park characters getting onto buses and stuff like that, we would see certain days that like it said like there were 215,000 transactions that were backed up on the Bitcoin blockchain. This is a gigantic no-no. So this leads us to where we currently are right now. I can't imagine how this is going to actually work out though. With a new set of upgrades, Bitcoin Core developer Luke Dashir hopes to put an end to BRC20 tokens as well as Bitcoin-based NFTs. The Bitcoin network is about to undergo a set of upgrades, which are expected to essentially put an end to BRC20 tokens as well as NFTs, known as Bitcoin ordinals that are minted on the network. Once again, I can hear someone saying it. I also, right, it's a lot. I also don't know how they're going to stop this. In a Twitter post, Bitcoin Core developer Luke Dashir said that a loophole in the Bitcoin blockchain made it possible for users to spam the network, calling inscriptions or the NFTs a way of storing metadata on the blockchain. He said all of this is a bug. You have to understand that to a Bitcoin Core developer or a pure maximalist, Bitcoin is just for payments. It's just for movements of money around the world. The fact that someone figured out how to put NFTs on top of Bitcoin to them is like putting an octopus on top of your house. Like, yes, it's possible, you can figure out how to do it, but to them, it's not supposed to be there. Bitcoin only has one purpose. It's to democratize money, if you will. He said, public service announcement, inscriptions are exploiting a vulnerability in the Bitcoin Core to spam the blockchain. Bitcoin Core has, since 2013, allowed users to set a limit on the size of extra data in transactions they rely or mine by obfuscating their data as program code. And he went on a complete rant, which we're not going to be talking about. While no timetable has been set, Dashir said Bitcoin Core is expected to fix the vulnerability before version 27 of the chain launches next year. And it appears his crusade against inscriptions divided the crypto community. The idea is that if Bitcoin is for everyone, everyone kind of has a say in what can be done or what you should do with it. The purest people, especially those who had any contact with Satoshi, knew Satoshi maybe in real life or whatever, they are completely against the idea of ever changing the chain. This is why we had Roger Ver a number of years ago, who was also a complete Bitcoin maximalist, so he said, at some point came out and was like, hey, we should make Bitcoin have a larger block size. And everyone looked at him and said, no. He was like, hey, we should do X, Y, and Z to make Bitcoin this. And everyone was like, no. So he got angry. I think he moved to Japan. You can find videos of him like walking around, like holding up signs in the street. It's all very bizarre. And he created Bitcoin Cash, basically saying, this is what Bitcoin should actually be. And then no one ended up using it. And this is where we currently are with all the other things of Bitcoin as well. The issue is no one really knows what Satoshi wants or wanted. We have a general idea from like a year and a half of like Reddit posts. But as we know right now, this figure, Peoples, disappeared. We don't know where he, she, or they, the group of people, might actually be. So who's to say what Satoshi wanted if Satoshi didn't plan on the network evolving in some sort of way? However, this is now seen as like something that must be changed and must be actually gotten rid of. With some saying the efforts made by Bitcoin developers are unlikely to be supported by people who are mining Bitcoin on the network because they receive transaction fees. So if people who are mining something on the Bitcoin network say something goes, it typically ends up going. I think you need around 70% of the network to kind of give like a thumbs up and a yay to say that some proposal will go through. The gigantic problem is there's a difference between you making, let's say, money from 500,000 transactions per day to you making money from like over 1 million transactions per day. So obviously we can assume that the people who are mining Bitcoin, who are validating the transactions, are going to want a triple fold of transactions because they're making an enormous amount of money from it. Then it talks about that right there. It says your short-term profit only ideology is just another ideology and a bad one at that. Someone said, I prefer Bitcoin pure and just being money were aligned there. Still, your argument about people who are mining Bitcoin forfeiting profit is simply wrong. However, Dashir appears to be standing his ground, saying that NFTs on the Bitcoin network never existed in the first place, calling them all a fraud. And I think this is meant to be the actual activity on the Bitcoin network since the NFTs got started right here. There's been an explosion of activity. Yeah, this, as you might have imagined, was, I don't want to say popular, but extremely hot topic right now. Because if the network basically agrees that Bitcoin should not have NFTs, what then happens to the value that has been created or the NFTs that people are holding? There was just a news story. I don't have it here, but maybe I do. No, maybe I do. No, I don't know. Anyway, that there was some NFT from the Bitcoin blockchain that actually just sold for like $500,000 or some super huge, large amount of money. What happens if you delete those or stop those from happening or saying that they never existed on the chain or you're not allowed to mint anymore? You know, it's not even a very fine line. Like, it's a gigantic, huge line in the sand when it comes to all of this. But yeah, the cryptocurrency space never ceases to amaze me as we are constantly, there's always, every single bull run, it's really insane. There's always some kind of a Bitcoin controversy going on where somebody wants to change something, or there's something on Bitcoin, or somebody wants to build something on Bitcoin that other people don't want. But yeah, let's see if this actually ends up taking place. I don't know when V27 of Bitcoin is supposed to happen. I think it's Q1 of the year. It's just more of a, yeah, that's the, somebody wants to completely get rid of Bitcoin NFTs and basically never allow them again on the network, which would then essentially also make them lose their value, because if you fork Bitcoin and make another Bitcoin, like you call it Bitcoin Ordinal or something like that, it's no longer on the number one chain. So what do you do? That's the, oh boy news. And yeah, let's move on. Also sure, why not? No one's asking for it, but you go, girl. France's third largest bank, Societe Generale, is once again in the news as they are preparing to launch their own stablecoin called Your Coin Vertible. Not joking. Like, I don't understand how did they come up with that word, which is fully backed by the euro and designed in compliance with MiCA regulations. The stablecoin will be listed on the cryptocurrency exchange Bitstamp, making it available to crypto market participants. We heard from Societe Generale, I think it was a week or two ago. I'm pretty sure they were the bank who announced that they were going green or something like that, and they issued what is it? Like a green certificate on Ethereum to show the world how green they were and how much they were trying to help the environment. And it's like, okay, you don't have to lie. Like, we know you're banking, like you don't care about people. But now they're back in the news because we have heard over the course of this year, this was basically also like central bank digital currency year. But there's also been a huge amount of hubbub from countries and banks who are making their own stablecoin. Many of them are kind of foregoing the idea of a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, and they're simply announcing, no, we're making our own stablecoin. So with this new stablecoin, they're basically, I don't know if it's like a marketing thing where they're trying to sound like cool and hip, like, oh yeah, we also have stablecoins like similar to the cryptocurrency space, but banks are beginning to make them. Banks have already made them. Their issue is that no one's actually using them. JP Morgan made JP Morgan coin, and then they made their own stable coin, but no one's using it. According to the Financial Times, the bank will start trading their own stable coin, Your Coin Convertible, on Bitstamp, becoming the first bank to offer its stable coin to a broad investor base. The move represents a significant step for the financial institution into the same exact thing I keep saying over and over. Every time that a bank does something or an institution for themselves, websites keep writing like, this is a great day for crypto. This is going to, and it's like, they're not doing these things to make life more like seamless and nicer for you. They're doing it because they're trying to figure out another way to profit. This is why every single time that Coinbase comes forward with like, we got a blockchain, we got a stable coin, like they're doing it because they're looking for other sources of revenue. So if you know that the cryptocurrency space is going to completely take off and people are going to be making obscene amounts of money, you go, well, okay, people are using stable coins. We have to try and make our own. That's the usual general idea behind it. And then talks about what stable coins are and the stable coin market. Yeah, it's dominated by Tether because like, regardless of what the Wall Street Journal has been lying about, if you look into what the Wall Street, I literally can't. Between the Wall Street Journal, literally over the last couple of years, would not stop talking about how bad Tether was, how bad Binance was, what other companies. There were very specific companies that they were targeting over and over. If it had been one article, cool. 5 articles, okay. But as I've been doing this daily for the last 8 years, they've had hundreds. The Wall Street Journal is absolutely insane. I have no idea who runs it, but I bet my bottom dollar whoever's behind that publication has been actively trying to destroy cryptocurrency companies so that whoever runs them can slide on in. It is so, obvious at this point. It's absolutely freaking disgusting. But cool. So another bank, I'm pretty sure, yeah, they wrote something on the Ethereum blockchain. So they're into crypto in some sort of way, yada, yada, yada. But now they have their own stablecoin. It's more a matter of Will anyone use it? Part of the problem for a lot of these institutions is that they keep making stuff like, we don't need new coins. We have enough cryptocurrencies. We have more than enough stable coins. They usually throw this like really weird, well, all the other stable coins are denominated in US dollars and this one's in euros. So it's still value. Like, people know how to trade. Like, if you're trading cryptocurrencies and you're in Yugoslavia. If you're in like Italy or something like that, and you're using the euro, but you trade against Tether, like when you trade back into the coin or into your local currency, it's still in euros. You don't need to trade against a euro stable coin. Like, it's still completely fine. Like, you'll be A-okay by the end of the actual transaction. It's just, they're all looking for new ways to jump into the market to try and get some kind of a share of something that they should not have a share of in the first place. Like, the market's fine as is. We should actually have an obliteration of around 90% of the coins on the market so that we can get all these scam coins out of the way and get all that money pushed into like the top 50 coins on the market. 50, 60 coins? I don't know. Anyway, that's the third largest bank in France is once again back in the news because they're trying to basically figure out a way to push Tether to the side, but it's not working. And this is why I'm really glad that Tether kind of stuck to it. And over the last like 5 years has been hyper transparent. I'm pretty sure it was also Tether, because I think Tether now does daily, what's it called? What's the word? Like, daily, they tell people exactly how much Tether they have, how much they created, and how many assets are backing it daily. And now they're trying to do one in real time, literally in real time, because people would not leave them alone talking about that Tether was fake. So now that we know that it's fully backed, nothing's wrong with Tether, and I told you all of this years ago. Raise your hand if you remember this. I said years ago, if there's a problem with Tether, it would have been delisted from every crypto exchange immediately. You cannot risk being a cryptocurrency company or a crypto exchange worth $35 billion having a fraudulent coin on there. It literally does not work. So Tether's probably going to continue to reign supreme, as is the Circle coin for now, unless the new Binance, what is that thing called? Binance Patupala? Wait, where is it? FDUSD ends up taking off. So cool. Good job trying to get into the space, but you know, we've seen this happen before. I sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed this very weird video. I think they're all kind of weird videos. No one tells me, but I know they're weird videos. I know I'm a pretty weird guy. I've had people tell me that before in person, like as if I'm supposed to be like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like, no, like I know I've always been weird, so the videos are always going to be a bit weird as well. I do hope you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do sincerely hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.